So my friend Peter Bogosian, and I was working with he was at Portland State University. He used to talk about academia. That's like the second circle of hell or something.
Yeah.
And so he's out there. He actually went to his university president and said, did you know that we got listed as one of the worst schools in the country for free speech? And his university president said, wait a minute, who wrote the list? Because sometimes you want to be on that list.
Wow.
And so it's like these guys are out of their minds. But their diversity office allowed anybody. So I could have called up from Tennessee, anybody to file an anonymous complaint against somebody. Totally anonymous. You can never face your accuser. You can't even fully know what you're accused of. And then they're engaging in bullshit leftist tactics like leaking it. So Pete, my buddy Pete's on the way home from work one day.
You mean the wrap-up smear like Nancy Pelosi?
Yeah, you're about to hear it. Like, so she's in the train on the way home one day, and another faculty member comes up to him and says, what's this I hear about you beating your wife and kids?
Wow. Oh, yeah.
And he's like, what? And it turns out an Antifa guy who doesn't even go to the university had filed this report with the diversity office, and then the diversity office was investigating it, which included leaking it to the faculty. So all these people on campus thought that he, was engaged. They had 46 or something like that complaints against him. That was one of them. And so they thought he was engaged in all this heinous stuff. So he's got this terrible environment to go to work in every day because of the diversity office. But these diversity offices were what screwed it up.
Yeah. Why do you think that is? Because they were all commies?
Yeah, communist administrative bureaucracy to control how people live.
Yep.
That's their bread and butter right there. Now, what I focused on, though, wasn't these offices. Pete was obviously at war with the offices because they were ruining his life. But I focused on, where are the offices getting these ideas, right? It's not just commies. They have specific communist ideas like gender studies and critical race theory and all this shit. And so I started reading their academic papers and thought...
And they were shit, right?
Oh, they're crazy.
Yeah.
And there was these Twitter accounts that were like making fun of their academic papers as being crazy, and we started following it. And so here's Peter and I in 2016 and 17 decided that these people need to be hoaxed. They published this bullshit paper at the University of Oregon, 4 professors, $500,000 of National Science Foundation taxpayer money. And they published this paper
Could
about...
have cured cancer.
Yeah, could have done something. Think what you could do with that. They whine about these scholarships. How many scholarships is $500,000, right? Back in 2016. And so they published this paper, and it says that the science of glacier studies or glaciology is intrinsically masculine and it's not feminist enough. And they write this idiotic paper saying that they have to incorporate feminist art. You have to get these women that paint pictures of ice, and the scientists have to study those instead of satellite photos, because the satellite photos I'm not joking, they call them pornographic images taken from the God's eye view from nowhere, pretending to be objective, all this leftist nonsense. Jesus. And I was horrified by this. They gave one of the authors a TED Talk. And so we saw this paper, Peter and I, and we thought if they'll publish that, they'll publish anything. Let's hoax them. Let's write fake papers and trick these idiots. So we wrote a paper like right away. We called The Conceptual Penis as a Social Construct.
Oh my God, do I love that.
Yeah, so what we said was, penises shouldn't be thought of as anatomical organs or the male organ. They should be thought of instead as a social construct that makes men, braggarts and macho and all this bullshit, and it causes all the problems in the world, especially, of course, climate change. We were like, they rape natural environments, and we did the whole Varsity Blues shtick. You remember Varsity Blues, where they're in the classroom and all the teenagers are given like really nasty names, slang words for the penis? We put like a whole paragraph of just purple-headed yogurt slinger, like the nastiest stuff we could write. And we're like, will they publish this? And it got accepted by this really bad journal called Cogent Social Sciences, and they published it. This was a scandal. We said, we've proved gender studies and masculinity studies is bullshit, and a bunch of people said, well, no, you haven't. One paper, bad journal, not enough proof. What do you have to do? Write more papers, better journals. So Peter and I said, let's do that.
The white noise in my head to just shove food or snacks in my face is gone. I don't know if you're like me. I find myself blacked out. I call it werewolfing, and I'll find myself in a pantry at like 2 a.m. just shoving animal cookies in my face, and I don't know where it is. I don't know if it's stress. I've talked to nutritionists and therapists about it. The people at TWC told me that there's a hormonal thing, potentially, that this might help, and I shit you not. I've been taking it, and that white noise is gone. I haven't really changed my life or my diet. I'm not exercising anymore, but that incessant need those cravings that drive you crazy, they're gone. And I think just for that alone, you guys, it is worth trying. I'm not going to tell you anymore. You want to try it yourself? Go ahead. Go to twc.health/RB. You'll get 10% off your first order. Use the code RB and, try it yourself. But I'll tell you, for me, it has changed my life. Honestly, just not having that nagging. It's liberating. That's the word for it. I am liberated.
So we recruited our friend Helen, who is an academic in the UK, who understood their stupid feminist theories, and we wrote 20 more papers in a year.
Good Lord.
And we send them off. These are, 1 or 2 per year as a career. And we sent these things off as fast as we could write them. So this first one that blew up, we said that if you go to the dog park in Portland, Oregon, we said we spent 1,000 hours in Portland, Oregon in the dog park, but never in the heavy rain, watching dogs hump each other and analyzing how people reacted. We said that we had to know if it was straight or gay dog rape. So we had to inspect the dog's genitals and make notes on the dog's genitals. And the peer reviewers were worried, how did you protect the dog's privacy while you were inspecting their genitals? And we said, well, we never recorded their names, only their owners' names. And this was good enough for them. And they said, well, how do you know if it's a dog rape or just dogs having sex that want to? So we put in, well, as humans and not dogs, our perspective is limited. So we had to tell the, academics that we're not dogs to write the paper. And we said that you can tell that straight men are in favor of rape because they're like, get her boy when a male dog gets on a female dog, but they're homophobic because they don't like gay rape and then they're gay dog sex. And then the women were horrified all across the board. So you can tell there's a problem. And so we said that if you just train men the way we train dogs, out of obedience manuals and shock collars and leashes and stuff, you can overcome rape culture. Because we said dog parks are rape condoning spaces and a petri dish of canine rape culture and all this bullshit. And this not only got published by the leading journal in feminist geography, which is called Gender, Place, and Culture, in its 25th anniversary year that year, it was given a special award for excellence in scholarship. And we wrote a bunch of irreverent, that's one, we wrote a bunch of irreverent papers. We wrote a chapter of Mein Kampf, as intersectional feminism, saying all the feminists had to be on this plan only, and we took Hitler's, program into chapter 12 of Mein Kampf for organizing the Nazi party and said this is how the feminists are going to be organized. That was published by a feminist social work journal. We had a good time.
Oh, you see, my patience is growing.